Welcome back to the channel. It's been a while. Life's been interesting to say the least. So I've not been able to make any videos, or I've not had the energy to come and make any of these videos. But I'm back again. I think we ended up finishing on all the basics. So the previous videos, all basic footwork, straight punches, hooks, uppercuts, basic head movement. And then we were going to go into slightly more advanced techniques. But before I do that, I want to today, I want to go over self-defense techniques. So if you're not interested in that and you're just interested in purely boxing or K1 striking, whatever we're going to do in the future, just move on. If you are interested in self-defense, maybe you feel anxious, underconfident when you're out and about. Females, it's something very, very close to me because it's saved my ass many a time. In a previous life, should I say, the techniques I'm going to show you today proved to be very, very successful at doing what they needed to do. So before I get too old and any grey, I'd like to share, and hopefully if you're ever put in that situation, then this could potentially save your life. It certainly has with me, because out there's no referee, and if it goes wrong, it goes very wrong very quickly. So the techniques I'm going to show you are striking techniques, not restraining. They're designed to put somebody to sleep, basically, or at the very least, put them on their ass so you can get away. The biggest and best self-defense technique is just don't be in that situation. So, you know, it's being aware of the situation, reading the situation, and if it's starting to get a bit dodgy, get out of there. Lots of CCTV, and these days, if you end up hurting someone, it's even if they've started it tends to be you going to jail. So these are just used for, like I say, if there's no other option. If there is no other option and you are in a corner and you think somebody is going to hurt you, then this is the time to use them. And when you're going to use them, you use them properly and you put everything into them techniques. So I've had to move angle. All the lights are making me look like I've got a halo over my head. It's amplifying of the grey hairs and causing an aura of white. Anyway, so the reason I wanted to crack on with this self-defense stuff is because we just got to the end of all the boxing techniques, all the basic boxing techniques, and I think it's really important if you understand basic boxing techniques. Yeah, so these techniques that we're going to go over as a form of self-defense, you need to practice at the very least your backhand, okay, and your left hook or right hook, depending whether you're southpaw or orthodox, or right-handed or left-handed. Okay, so one hook and one backhand, and that's what we're going to work with today. Anybody who asks me, you know, maybe the kids are getting bullied at school, and yeah, you might not agree with violence. I can get that on board with that. I'm not going to go into that with this video, but I don't suppose you'd be watching these videos if, you know, I don't know. Anyway, they'll ask me my advice, and I would say to them, learn some form of boxing, K1, Muay Thai, some form of striking that's going to work in the real world. And also some form of grappling. So jiu-jitsu is fantastic. I can't recommend jiu-jitsu enough, especially going against a bigger opponent. If the striking doesn't work, years ago before I got in the MMA, when I was having to use these techniques, I was very lucky, but if it ever did go down to the ground, it was just a scrappy mess. These days, there's animals out there who were very, very good at fighting on the floor. So I was quite lucky back then that I didn't come across anyone like that. So a good form of striking, with grappling bolted onto it. But we can't all have that. This is about basic self-defense. So learn a backhand, learn a hook. They're both on previous videos. Practice them. In that way, we can practice these techniques that we're going to use today. First technique, the easiest, most basic technique. It has pros and it has cons, and we'll go over that in a minute. Jeff Thompson, a guy who I've read quite a few of his books when I was younger, fantastic. He explains this technique very, very well. It's not something I've ever used, but it's something I teach, specifically females, because it lulls somebody into a false sense of security, and it's all about surprise. Yeah? The person who strikes first tends to be the person who's going to come out on top, sadly. So this first technique, I think Jeff Thompson in his book Animal Day talks about it, and he calls it the fence. Okay, it's very, very simple, very straightforward, but you need to understand your base and you need to understand a backhand. And if you don't, go back over my videos, have a look, and we go over your base and straight punches. So have a check of that. Okay, technique one. So technique one is super basic. In fact, they're both pretty super basic, but they work really, really well. But the only way they work is by practicing them and making sure it's a surprise. You are setting the other person up, the aggressor. Yeah, you need to make them feel like they're in control. Okay, whether that's just allowing them to be that aggressive person, or whether you are going to lull them into making them think you're scared. Either way, it works. It's all psychological. If I am to meet him with aggression, then straight away it's going to blow up into a fight. So just to take a step back, give yourself that little bit of space first, that's massive. So big red guy, big red bully, in my face, you know, they love doing this. Yeah, take a step back, hands up, open hands, and you can quite easily say, I don't want any trouble. I don't want any trouble. Yeah, when you do that, really easy. Anyone who understands the boxing can see from this, I've just gone into a boxing stance, my guard's up, but it looks innocent, and that's the trick. I don't want any trouble. You know, I'm not here to fight. I don't want any conflict. And we're thinking about our back foot, pushing the pressure like an accelerator pedal. My handbrake is here, and as soon as I want, I'm just going to push, let that slide, and go forward. The main thing is my head's going to come offline, just in case he is a good scrapper and he can see that shot. I don't want to counter. That's a little bit more advanced. But here, I don't want any trouble. Chin down, push, step. From here, drop into that fence. I don't want any trouble. Yeah. Go southpaw or right-handed, sorry, left-handed. I don't want any trouble. Yeah. Push, slide. And then, boom, boom, boom. Once we start hitting, you know, if it's a bigger guy, we ain't going to stop hitting until he is debilitated, shall we say, okay? Then we can run, okay? From here, I don't want any trouble. Push, slide, guards up, heads off to the side. Yeah? We can start opening up and then run. So, technique two is a bit more tricky, takes a bit more practice, but the benefits of it outweigh technique one. Okay, when we are full of adrenaline, and if someone's been aggressive, they're still full of adrenaline. It doesn't matter how big and mean and angry they look, they're still pumped full of adrenaline. And when our bodies get pumped full of adrenaline, we get tunnel vision. Okay, so
we can focus on this, but this bit tends to be blurred, yeah, out of focus a little bit. Now, technique 1 is great, but the problem being, or there's a few problems, the punch is coming straight down that tunnel that they can see. Okay, now if they've got any form of boxing training and they've done it properly, they'll have a reaction, a motor behaviour reaction that will, or possibly, will allow them to slip that shot. And that's all you need for it to become scrappy. If they're a bigger guy, they could be grabbing hold of you, and it could all go very, very wrong very quick. So that's one bad point about technique 1. The second bad point is if you do hit them, you're hitting them square in the face is going to open up, it doesn't look good. Even if it's self-defense, you're still hitting first, and in a court of law that doesn't go down well. However, what I will say is if you are a smaller frame guy, you're not a fighter, you may be female, it might be a man, a bigger man who's possibly about to attack you, and you think your life's in danger, then think about the legalities afterwards. Yeah, your life is the most important thing. Getting home is the most important thing. That's my advice. So 2 down points to the first technique. 1, if you're not careful and they're a boxer, they could potentially slip that shot or counter it, hence why I try and get my head off line with it. And 2, it's going to cause a lot of mess. Okay. Technique 2, although it's a little bit more difficult to practice to get it right, it solves them problems straight away. So 1, you're now hitting at the side. You're coming up with a hook and you're hitting at the side out of that focus. Yeah. So rather than being able to see that punch, they can't. It's over. It's on the side. Before they know they've been hit, and then we can continue capitalising on that, and then get out of there if needs be. The second thing, if done properly and practice, they tend to just sit down. Yeah, the brain shuts off and they sit down, go to sleep. It's a lot cleaner, a lot less damage. Still dangerous. This video is not about hurting people, which sounds insane because of what I'm talking about. It's about defending yourself. All right, but this technique, personally, I think is a lot safer. The head doesn't reel back and hit floors. It tends to be just sitting down where they are, and then you can get gone. Go get help if needs be. So, technique 2. All we're going to do is we're going to do the exact same thing by taking a bit of space, taking a step back. That's the first thing. Now, again, this is perfect because what a lot of numpties out there like to do is stick the head right here. You know, they'll give it the whole this thing, which is ridiculous because now they can't see anything. All right, keep our head down because we want to protect our chin, our nose, etc. And a lot of these sneaky guys like to stick the head on you. All right, so what I would recommend doing is taking that little step back, and I would always just have one hand up to my face like this, just simply scratching my chin, looking normal. But I'm now in a boxing stance, short range boxing stance, and my guard's pretty much up here. Okay, so all I'm going to do is drop my weight over this side, his head's here, and I'm going to catch him with the hook. Okay, now the way I would recommend practicing this is a simple slap. It doesn't even need to be a punch. It's a surprise. Your brain will start to shut down and get that knockout momentum from something that they don't see. Okay, it's not the ones that see that hurt them, or stop them. It's the ones that they don't see. If that makes sense. So from here to dropping the punch in or a slap here. And you can see as soon as I launch that attack, my guard comes up. Yeah. From here, I don't want any trouble. Yeah. And that's a slap. It's the same as a punch, but my hand's open. Again, if we're talking legalities, it sounds a lot better if you say I was scared, I had to defend myself, so I slapped them. Yeah, and it's going to do the same damage. It's if you throw in this hook properly as a slap, it's still going to do what needs to be done. Okay, and very often that's all you'll need to get out. Okay. However, in the real world, the big guy, he wants to hurt you. You're in a corner. You've got one opportunity to make this right. So I would teach in class for self-defense to always capitalize on that. Okay, so we're not just going to just see what happens. We're going to use this opportunity to capitalize. So it'll be a hook straight. And we're just going to do what we need to do until he's down, and then we can get out and get help. Okay, if needs be. If you're smaller, you can also, or you're not comfortable using your hands, this is quite easily the same. It's going to cause a lot more damage though. Same thing, we step off, we throw a hook, and it's the same as our backhand straight, but we're going to drop our hand in. So we've got an elbow. So it'll be here, to here, to here. Don't want any trouble. But ideally, give us a space. We're here. That is gold dust. That will do the job 99.9% of the time. But you've got to practice. You must practice and understand the importance of doing it without them realising. So you don't want any tells, okay? So none of this clenching of fists. Yeah, it's a massive tell people like to do. Any form of aggression, you need to keep it cool and relaxed, or even better, specifically if you're female or you know, your opponent or your bully is a lot bigger than you, act scared. Give them that little power trip. I don't want any trouble, please. I don't want any trouble. And then from here, we're going to launch it. And when we go fully. Okay, because there's no coming back from that. We have to then put 100% into it. As soon as I hit him, as soon as I throw that first punch, we're in a fight. And if I lose, it could end in tragedy. Yeah, it does very often, unfortunately. So, technique one, from here, take a step back, palms out, accelerator pedal on, back foot, brake on your front foot, and we're going to let the brake off and slide forward. I don't want any trouble. Push, slide. Again, I'm not just coming straight here, I'm coming offline with it. Okay, just in case they are a boxer and they can slip that shot. Alright, or they're going to counter it. Technique two, same thing. Slight step back. Doesn't need to be as far back this time because it's going to be a hook. I'm going to drop my head over, excuse me, I'm here, I'm going to drop my head over here for my hook. So here, here. Practice, practice, practice.
So I should have said this at the beginning, but believe it or not, I don't condone violence at all. In fact, I despise it with every ounce of me. Unfortunately, in a previous life, I was very much exposed to it, and I had to adapt. I had to learn. But unfortunately, although I don't agree with it, there's people out there who get off on that kind of thing. So it's good to be prepared. And unfortunately, I've seen innocent people who have never wanted to fight, never ever dreamt of getting into a fight, getting seriously hurt because they had no tools to get them out of it when they were cornered. you know, hopefully you go through your whole life, you never ever have to be involved in any form of violent conflict, but sadly, you may be, and it's best to have the tools if needed. So why not practice, just in case? You know, it could save your life, or it could save someone else's. These techniques only work if you practice, okay? If they're sloppy, if you're tense, if you're sure what you're going to do, they don't work, okay? So practice, practice, practice. Practice going through the scenario. Practice with pads, with a bag, stepping off, looking scared if you need to, and then launching. Okay. I would also highly recommend, if you don't want to use your hands, you don't want to have to physically hit somebody, then learn jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu is fantastic, and sometimes even when you're cornered and you have to fight, it's going to be a lot, I say, less violent outcome. Hopefully you'll be able to restrain someone a lot better without the need to throw strikes, which is safer, isn't it, at the end of the day? Because, you know, things go wrong, very badly wrong. So this is only to be used as a last resort in self-defense if you think your life is in danger. Okay, this is not to go out and start trying to use it against people who upset you. Okay, like I say, I only have respect for guys and girls who come in here, fight in the cage, fight in a ring, fight on the mats, and compete properly. There's no honour out there fighting. So, anyway, something a bit different. I hope you got something out of it if you were watching it. Again, as with the boxing, these are only my opinions, take them or leave them. I'm waffling. So, next time, I don't know what we're doing, but I'm going to start upping the level of difficulty with the techniques. We'll start going a bit more intermediate, advanced techniques. Get back onto the boxing, bit of K1, etc. And yeah. So until then, if you've liked it, please press the like, please subscribe for more videos, and I will see you next time.